Su Ming traveled through the Three Kingdoms period and became brothers with Sun Su of different surnames. A month ago, Sun Quan killed his brother to seize the throne, and Su Ming and Sun Quan became enemies. Zhou Yu chose to prioritize the overall situation and stood on the opposite side of Su Ming. The two brothers cut off their robes and broke their righteousness. Su Ming failed to avenge Sun Su and, under serious injuries, managed to escape from Eastern Wu. During his escape, he was chased by Sun Quan and saved by Cao Cao. During his time in Chao Ying, Su Ming discovered that he was actually Cao Cao's illegitimate son. So, the story of the big and small bandits began. Keywords of the novel. Being kicked out of the house by Sun Quan, I have no pop-ups when I turn my back to join the Chao thief. Being kicked out of the house by Sun Quan, I turn my back to join the Chao thief. Download the complete TXT collection. Being kicked out of the house by Sun Quan, I turn my back to join the Chao thief. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. There is a mystery in Sun Su's death, and Su Ming accuses his brother. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. There is a mystery in Sun Su's death, and Su Ming accuses his brother Jiangdong. Wu Juan, Wu Xin. In a large mansion. Bedroom, two people are gathered around a table. One of these two has a cold and stern appearance, while the other is very refined. On the table is an oil lamp, along with a plate of small dishes and a jar of turbid wine. From their flushed faces, it can be seen that both of them are probably drunk. Third brother, there's something suspicious about big brother's death. The man with a cold and stern face took a sip of wine and said with a heavy tone, Big brother is hunting in Dantu. Who leaked his whereabouts? The accompanying soldiers were all experienced soldiers who had fought countless battles, but were unexpectedly led away by a few wild deer. Even without soldiers' guards. Who is Big Brother? Big Brother is the little overlord of Jiangdong, with the courage of a overlord. With just Su Gong's 3 disciples, you can assassinate Big Brother. As soon as these words were spoken, the refined man froze. After a moment, the refined man asked, Second brother, what exactly are you trying to say? However, upon hearing these words, the stern man became angry. Bang! The cold and stern man slammed the table and roared angrily, Zhou Gongjin, don't pretend to be confused for me. You are the brain trust of our Jiangdong region. What do you mean by me that you don't understand? Since you want me to say it openly, I'll tell you that Big Brother was not assassinated by Su Gong's disciples, it was our own people who caused Big Brother's death. Some people don't want Big Brother to live, some want Big Brother to die, and some are anxious to take office. The elegant man is the famous Zhou Yu and Zhou Gongjin in history, and the assassinated elder brother is the Jiangdong little overlord Sun Su. The cold and stern man's name is Su Ming. He is not from this world, but the soul of the 21st century has traveled here. Coincidentally, the original owner of his body happened to be Sun Su's sworn brother. The original owner, Sun Su, Zhou Yu, and the 3 of them formed an alliance. Sun Su is the eldest, Su Ming is the second, and Zhou Yu is the third. About 20 days ago, Sun Su was assassinated by 3 disciples of Su Gong while hunting in Dantu, and was seriously injured. I returned to Wu County for some days of treatment and passed away 7 days ago. After pondering Su Ming's words for a while, Zhou Yu furrowed his brows for a moment before slowly speaking up and asking, Second brother, who do you suspect? Without hesitation, Su Ming opened the door and said, Big Brother is dead. Whoever makes the most profit is who did it. In these words, it's almost like calling the Taoist surname directly. Who took over the power of Jiangdong after Sun Su's death? Sun Quan. The most crucial thing is that Sun Quan took over the power of Eastern Wu with the support of the 4 major families in Jiangdong, Gu, Lu, Zhu, and Zhang. When Sun Su came to power, he had been suppressing the local gentry in Jiangdong. After listening to Su Ming's words, Zhou Yu's face was also full of confusion. He said in a deep voice, Second brother, we must pay attention to evidence in everything. Without evidence, how can we convince the public with such empty words? Evidence. Su Ming has no evidence, but he firmly believes that there is a problem with Sun Tzu's death. Because on that day, when Sun Tzu was hunting, he should have been by his side. However, the night before Sun Tzu's assassination, he was invited to drink by his Deputy General Ling Chao. Ling Chao poisoned the original owner in the wine. It was precisely because the original owner died of poisoning that Su Ming traveled through and occupied the magpie's nest. Sun Tzu is known as the little overlord of Jiangdong, and he has the courage to dominate. Su Gong's 3 disciples could never be his opponents. Su Ming suspected that Sun Tzu was also poisoned, which is why he was stabbed seriously by Su Gong's 3 disciples. Autopsy: I suspect my elder brother was already poisoned before he died. As long as we find a grave to conduct an autopsy, we can prove that our elder brother was killed by our own people. As for who it is, as long as he does it, we will definitely find evidence. Su Ming looked at Zhou Yu with bright eyes and said, when we became sworn brothers, we worshipped the heavens and knelt down on the yellow earth. We said, we don't want to be born on the same day and month in the same year, but we want to die on the same day and month in the same year. Gongjin, you don't want Big Brother to die inexplicably, do you? In Jiangdong, Sun Tzu has the highest prestige, followed by Zhou Yu. Although he ranks second among the 3, the original master cannot compare with Sun Tzu in terms of martial arts, and his thesis cannot compare with Zhou Yu. In contrast, speaking doesn't carry much weight. In the military, one only holds the position of a vanguard officer. Su Ming can only hope to find out the true cause of Sun Tzu's death with Zhou Yu. From the memory of the original owner, it can be seen that the friendship between the 3 brothers is deep, and Zhou Yu should be trustworthy. After pondering for a moment, Zhou Yu spoke decisively, "Second brother, you have a reckless personality and have been in the military all year round. You are not familiar with Wu County. Big brother's matter, I will investigate. You can wait patiently, and I will definitely give you an answer. If there is really something suspicious about Big brother's death, no matter who it is, Zhou Gongjin will definitely make him pay the price." After a conversation between the 2 brothers, Zhou Yu stood up and left, leaving Su Ming alone. After Zhou Yu left, Su Ming opened the attribute panel. Name: Su Ming. Age: 23 years old. Force value: 91, Commander-in-Chief. 87, Wisdom. 80, Politics. 73, Main weapon: Silver Spear. Sub-weapon: Golden Mace. Mount: Huang Biao Ma. Task: investigate the cause of Sun Tzu's death and make it public. Task reward: unknown. Through these days, Su Ming estimated the division of military strength during the 3 Kingdoms period. If we calculate based on the 3 kingdoms in the history of the past life, a general with a force value below 70 is considered a non-mainstream general. Generals with a force value between 70.80 are considered third-rate generals, represented by figures such as Wu Angua, Pan Feng, and Xing Darong. Generals with a force value between 80.90 are considered second-rate generals, with representatives such as Hua Xiong, Li Dian, Lu Jin, Gao Lan, and so on. Those with a force value of over 90 are considered first-class generals. However, there is a significant disparity in strength between top-tier generals. Among the top-tier generals, there are some who are more powerful, including the 5 Tiger generals of Shu, Dian Wei of Chao Wei, Su Chu, and Taisher Ci of Eastern Wu. Su Ming took a look at his own strength, which was 91, just over 90, entering the threshold of being a first-class general. Looking at the commander, intelligence, and politics, Su Ming found that his military strength was the only thing he could handle. Hey! Su Ming's attributes are not ideal now. I can only hope that completing the first task and receiving rewards can significantly enhance my strength. However, investigating the cause of Sun Tzu's death is not so simple. Among them, it is very likely to involve the power struggle within Jiangdong, and a single mistake can leave him with nothing left. However, Su Ming must investigate the cause of Sun Tzu's death thoroughly. Firstly, it is for the task, and secondly, it is also because it is an obsession of the original owner. The magpie's nest occupied his body, and understanding his obsession, we will no longer owe each other. At that time, Su Ming can make good use of this body to do what he wants to do. How could he possibly live a mediocre life for a long time while traveling through a scene? Author's new book, add a collection, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Zhou Yu's decision. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Zhou Yu's decision. For some reason, although Zhou Yu agreed to investigate the cause of Sun Tzu's death. However, Su Ming's heart was still very uneasy. From the memory of the original owner, it can be seen that the three of them have a deep brotherly relationship, and Zhou Yu should be trustworthy. After much thought, Su Ming still felt that he couldn't rely all his hopes on Zhou Yu. Thinking of this, he secretly wrote a letter to Tai Shirzi. The letter explains the process of Sun Tzu's assassination and also recounts many of his own speculations. Please ask Tai Shirzi to lead troops to come and help. After writing the letter, Su Ming urged his confidant to quickly deliver it to Tai Shirzi's hands. According to the original owner's memory, his personal relationship with Tai Shirzi in the military was quite good. Moreover, Tai Shirzi's character is upright and unyielding, and it doesn't seem like he can be bought by aristocratic families. The most important point is that the combat effectiveness of Tai Shirzi in Jiangdong is only lower than that of Sun Tzu. If Tai Shirzi is willing to help him, Su Ming is like having an extra trump card. To investigate the cause of Sun Tzu's death, it is necessary to hire a coroner for an autopsy. Su Ming knew with his knees that if he proposed an autopsy, he would definitely be rejected. This is Wu County, the headquarters of local aristocratic families in Jiangdong. If Taisher trusts him and can lead troops to help. So, when absolutely necessary, he can also start grabbing corpses. Of course, coming hard is the last resort. If there can be progress on Zhou Yu's side, it will naturally be the best outcome. Third brother. Third brother. I hope you don't disappoint me, and don't disappoint big brother. Su Ming sighed and sighed. Wu County. Fuya. Sun Tzu's coffin was parked in the lobby of the government office, and during the day, many courtiers from Jiangdong came to pay their respects. Zhou Yu arrived at the mansion, and as soon as he entered, his eyebrows furrowed uncontrollably. There are too many soldiers in the government office, and they are all very unfamiliar soldiers. According to common sense, even if it is necessary to protect Sun Tzu's coffin, Sun Tzu's personal soldiers should be used during his lifetime. At first, Zhou Yu was only immersed in the sadness of his elder brother being assassinated, but he didn't pay attention to these details. After being awakened by Su Ming, Zhou Yu indeed discovered something suspicious while looking at all of this. After figuring out these joints, Zhou Yu also firmly believed what Su Ming said. He quickened his pace and strode towards the coffin in the lobby. General Biao. General Biao. After seeing Zhou Yu, the soldiers guarding around the lobby shouted one after another. Zhou Yu's reputation in Jiangdong is simply too great. It can be said that he is a figure in the military second only to Sun Tzu. Even the four veteran generals Chengdu, Han Dang, Huang Gai, and Zhu Mao were half a head shorter than Zhou Yu. A person with skills will not do too poorly anywhere. Zhou Yu paused in front of the coffin and waved to the soldiers guarding the yard, saying, "You all go out, I want to stay alone with my elder brother for a while." These soldiers have all taken orders from Sun Quan and cannot allow anyone to come into contact with Sun Tzu's body alone. Therefore, the soldiers' feet now seem to have taken root and remain motionless. A refined person is generally not easy to get angry, but when he gets angry, he is particularly introverted. I asked you to leave, can't you hear me? Zhou Yu's eyes widened and his tone sternly reprimanded, "Get out." Seeing Zhou Yu's appearance, a cold sweat the size of a bean sprouted from the forehead of the small school led by him. Immortals fight, mortals suffer. These soldiers are either leaving now or not. If I leave, I will offend Sun Quan, but if I don't leave, I will offend Zhou Yu. Neither of these two can afford to offend. The leader of the small school arched his hand at Zhou Yu and said with a troubled expression, "General Zhou, second young master has orders, and there are idle people. Sun Quan has not yet inherited the position of Marquis of Wu. What qualifications does he have to intervene in military power?" Zhou Yu stared coldly at the young school and ordered word by word, "I now command you to leave here immediately." Have you heard me? There is nothing wrong with Zhou Yu's words. Before Sun Tzu's death, he did leave a last word to allow Sun Quan to inherit the position of Marquis of Wu. However, so far, the grand ceremony of Sun Quan's inheritance has not been held. That is to say, Sun Quan is not yet the Marquis of Wu. Since he is not yet the Marquis of Wu, he has no right to command troops and horses. At this point, the little school dared not leave and had no choice but to evacuate the yard with people. After these troublemakers left, Zhou Yu came to the coffin. Rubbing. Zhou Yu drew a short dagger and took out a wine bag filled with water. He looked at Sun Tzu, who was no longer bloodshot in the coffin, and said, "Big brother, I will take some of your blood and ask the tomb to verify it. If you were already poisoned before being stabbed, I will definitely seek justice for you." However, just as Zhou Yu's knife was about to cut through Sun Tzu's body, one hand suddenly grabbed him. "Gong Jin, why are you staying up all night?" A young man with blue eyes and purple beard appeared next to Zhou Yu, who was undoubtedly Sun Quan and Sun Zhongmo. Originally, Zhou Yu was planning to secretly take Sun Tzu's blood and then ask the grave to conduct an examination. Now that Sun Quan has discovered it, we can only force it. Just as Zhou Yu was about to say something, Sun Quan first let go of his hand and then said in a very serious tone, "Gong Jin, I know what you want to do. However, sometimes it's better for people to be confused. You, Zhou Gong Jin, are an understanding person. Nowadays, the feudal lords of the world are in conflict, with the strong including Cao Cao, the two tigers of Yuan Shao, and even a group of wolves such as Ma Teng, Zhang Lu, Lu Zhang, and Lu Biao waiting for the opportunity to move. You know, if you take this blow, the 6 counties in Jiangdong will definitely not be guaranteed. My father and brother have worked hard for a lifetime, and it will be destroyed in an instant." After Sun Quan finished speaking, Zhou Yu's sword froze in mid-air. At this point, it is no longer necessary to hire a coroner for an autopsy. Sun Quan's words almost indicate that Sun Tzu was not assassinated by Su Gong's followers, but died in the power struggle in Jiangdong. Gong Jin, there are constant disputes in the world now. If we want to establish ourselves in these 6 counties in Jiangdong, we must first ensure the interests of the local gentry in Jiangdong. Big brother is too ruthless. He eats someone else's food and even smashes someone else's pot, Sun Quan said, his blue eyes fixed on Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu also looked at Sun Quan, who held the dagger tightly with his 5 fingers. After a long time, he slowly spoke up, "Did you intervene in this matter?" "No." Sun Quan looked directly at Zhou Yu, as if he had a clear conscience. After a moment, he continued, "I only knew afterwards that things have come to this point, and I can only cooperate with them. Big brother's new funeral, Jiangdong will continue to stabilize, otherwise, the Chao thieves will take Jiangdong. Gong Jin, help me stabilize the situation in Jiangdong. One day, if my elder brother dies, I will definitely give you an explanation. Now, it's not the time to pursue this matter. Are you a wise person, Zhou Gongjin? Is it important for the elder brother in the coffin, or for the millions of people in the 6 counties of Jiangdong? Weigh it yourself." After listening to these words, the dagger in Zhou Yu's hand fell to the ground with a clang. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Cutting off robe and breaking righteousness, breaking through funeral alone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Cutting off robe and breaking righteousness, breaking through funeral alone in the blink of an eye, 7 days have already passed. There has been no progress in Zhou Yu's investigation, and Su Ming has made several requests to see him, but Zhou Yu has been absent due to illness. At this point, Su Ming was well aware. Between the future of Jiangdong and brotherhood, he chose the former. Tomorrow is the day of Sun Tzu's funeral. Once Sun Tzu is buried, all clues will be buried in the soil. In the evening, hold my handwritten book and go find Taisher Ci. Ask him to attack the city at noon, and I will coordinate within the city. After taking over Wu County, we will investigate the cause of the death of Marquis Wu together. Su Ming instructed his confidant. Seeking others is better than seeking oneself. Since Zhou Yu's side cannot expect it, he can only force it. Wu County has a garrison of 8,000 soldiers, but most of them are prefectural and county soldiers who have not undergone major wars. As long as Tai Shirzi can lead 5,000 elite troops to come, Su Ming is confident in taking over Wu County. After taking over Wu County, he can truly investigate the cause of Sun Tzu's death. Whether it's Sun Quan or the 4 major families of Gu, Lu, Zhu, or Zhang, they never imagined that Su Ming would dare to take over Wu County by force. After sending his confidants to deliver a message to Tai Shirzi, Su Ming was also very anxious in his heart. I stayed up all night and didn't hear any drums outside the city at noon. Tai Shirzi didn't come. Is it difficult? He Su Ming misread again. I misread Zhou Yu and then misread Taisher Ci. There was nothing to say all night, but the waves were surging in my heart. Su Ming sat in the courtyard pavilion all night, drinking all night and wiping his gun. The next day, the sky was hazy and bright. Sun Tzu's funeral has begun. Sun Tzu was the Marquis of Wu, and all the people came to see him off throughout the journey. On both sides of the street, there are people dressed in mourning. Su Ming arrived at the stable and pulled out his yellow husky horse, hanging his golden mace and silver spear on the saddle bridge. Big brother, today I will seek justice for you, murmured Su Ming as he flipped over and mounted his horse. As soon as he left the gate, Su Ming pulled his horse to a stop. Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu is actually in front of his house. Su Ming's pupils suddenly shrank and his tone was cold as he asked, Zhou Gongjin, how dare you come and see me? Su Ming did not refer to Zhou Yu as his third brother, but as Zhou Gongjin. Between brotherhood and the future of Jiangdong, Zhou Gongjin chose the latter. When he made this choice, the brotherly bond was no longer there. Su Ming is determined to seek justice for Sun Tzu, not just for the sake of system tasks. It is also for this brotherly bond that he came through time travel, but at the same time, he inherited the memory of the original owner. Perhaps it is the obsession of the original owner, or perhaps it is the emotion in this memory. In Su Ming's opinion, a hero like Sun Tzu should not have died inexplicably. Second brother, I know what you're going to do. Death cannot bring rebirth. Even if you go, what can you change? Can you figure out the cause of Big Brother's death and see if he can still come back to life from death? Second brother, think twice before acting. For the future of Jiangdong, you must not be reckless. Zhou Yu stood in front of the horse and earnestly advised. Bang! Su Ming kicked Zhou Yu, who was standing in front of the horse, and cursed loudly, I'll go fuck you, fart your damn dog. Sun Zhong plotted to kill his brother and seize the throne. How could he afford to be the Marquis of Wu? If Jiangdong leaves his son Quan, it won't work anymore. Kill him, and I will help Shower become the Marquis of Wu. There are wolves before and after Jiangdong, tigers behind. Shower is young. If he were the lord of Jiangdong, Chao Mengde and Yuan Benchu would definitely lead their army to attack. Zhou Yu stood up and continued to block Su Ming's horse. Even if Shower was young, Sun Su, Sun Quan, and Sun Lang could all become marquises of Wu. Anyway, that beast who killed his brother and took the throne is not enough. Su Ming said firmly. Combining some records from past life history, combined with the memories of the original owner, as well as the numerous events that occurred after one's own travels, Su Ming can almost be certain that Sun Su's death is likely to be closely related to Sun Quan. A 80% chance of this kind of thing is already enough. The four major families, Sun Su and Sun Quan, are not recognized by the four major families. Big Brother is dead, and no one can suppress the four major families. Without the recognition of the four major families, there will inevitably be internal turmoil in Jiangdong. At that time, there is no need to wait for Cao Cao and Yuan Shao to attack, and the people in Jiangdong will already be struggling. At this point, Zhou Yu knelt in front of Su Ming's horse and exclaimed in pain, "Second brother, I beg you. For the millions of people in Jiangdong and the large family left behind by Big Brother, please turn a blind eye. Big Brother is already dead, unable to survive, unable to survive. Is it unclear why Sun Su died for the sake of millions of people in Jiangdong? Can a person who kills his brother and takes the throne really make the people of Jiangdong live better? At least, Su Ming doesn't think so. Zhou Yu has Zhou Yu's choice, and Su Ming also has Su Ming's choice. Different paths lead to different strategies. Since that's the case, let's go our separate ways. Shine. Su Ming flicked his spear and cut off a corner of his robe. As the robe fell to the ground, Su Ming said coldly, "Today, we cut off our robes to sever our righteousness. From today on, you walk through your Yangguan road, and I cross my single wooden bridge. After today, we are no longer brothers. Drive. Drive. Drive." Su Ming urged Huang Biaoma under his crotch and rushed towards the inevitable path of Sun Su's funeral. Among Sun Su's funeral procession, Sun Quan, as the next Marquis of Wu, was Sun Su's coffin bearer. "It's Su Ming, I'm afraid he's here to cause trouble. This person cannot be left behind, they need to be eradicated." Zhang Zhao leaned in Sun Quan's ear and whispered. Sun Quan hesitated for a moment and said, "Today is my elder brother's funeral, so there won't be any bloodshed. Send him away first, and there will be plenty of opportunities to clean him up in the future." After listening to Sun Quan's words, Zhang Zhao nodded in agreement. The top priority is to bury Sun Su, and once he is buried in the soil, everything will settle. Zhang Zhao approached and spoke to Su Ming, saying, "Since General Su has arrived, let's join the funeral procession and see off Marquis Wu for a journey." The death of Sun Su is closely related to Sun Quan, and the four major families of Gu, Lu, Zhu, and Zhang are also absolutely inseparable. Especially this Zhang Zhao, Sun Quan had not yet succeeded to the throne as Marquis of Wu, and he spent his days behind Sun Quan and his horse in front of the saddle. It's hard to say, Sun Su's death was planned by him. "Let's let go of the matter of giving my elder brother a ride," Su Ming said, and rode his horse with a gun and rushed towards Zhang Zhao, shouting, "I'll give Mr. Zhang a ride first." There are people from the four major families of Gu, Lu, Zhu, and Zhang, one by one. Killing them is definitely not unjustified. Seeing Su Ming killing him, Zhang Zhao sat on the ground in shock and retreated in succession. Zhang Zhao never expected that Su Ming would dare to kill him in front of everyone's eyes. "Su Ming, don't dare you do this." At this moment, I saw a person holding a long spear welcoming me. Seeing this general, Su Ming's eyes instantly turned red. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Pifu's Fury and Blood Splashing in 5 Steps. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Pifu's Fury and Blood Splashing in 5 Steps. Ling Chao, I'll fuck your mother. Su Ming almost squeezed out a Chinese saying from between his teeth. In the original owner's memory, the night before Sun Su's assassination, it was Ling Chao who poisoned his wine and killed him. Unexpectedly, I met him here today. This is really, the enemy's path is narrow. When Ling Chao saw Su Ming, his heart also felt empty. Now, Ling Chao is also puzzled. He thought to himself, the medicine in my world can even poison a cow to death. Why didn't Su Ming die? Without saying a word, Su Ming sat down and Huang Biao Ma galloped towards Ling Chao like lightning. In the blink of an eye, Su Ming had already rushed towards Ling Chao. With a silver gun in hand, he picked it towards Ling Chao. Seeing Su Ming pick up the gun, Ling Chao straightened the gun and blocked it. However, what level of player is Ling Chao considered? How could he possibly be Su Ming's opponent, just a second-rate general? When? With a crisp sound, Su Ming took a shot at Ling Chao's gun cherry, and then flipped this roll up. Ling Chao's spear was directly picked up and flew out, and then Su Ming slapped it with a backhand. This shot hit Ling Chao's protective goggles and directly knocked him off his horse. Ling Chao fell off his horse, and Su Ming stabbed his gun directly into his throat. Leave people under the gun. Seeing that Su Ming was going to kill Ling Chao, Sun Quan from behind couldn't sit still and shouted loudly. Ling Chao defected to Sun Quan and is now Sun Quan's confidant. If Su Ming were to kill Ling Chao in front of everyone, what face would Sun Quan have to be this Marquis of Wu? Su Ming's eyes narrowed slightly, with a hint of murderous intent faintly visible. However, he had no intention of keeping his hand. The silver gun thrust forward and directly penetrated Ling Chao's throat. Pushi. Ling Chao's throat was pierced, and he lost his life in an instant. Sun Quan's eyes turned red when he saw this scene. Of course, Sun Quan was not saddened by Ling Chao's death. He felt angry about Su Ming's behavior. He had already called for someone to stay under the gun, but Su Ming still ignored it and stabbed Ling Chao to death with one shot. This is nothing, I didn't take him seriously. Su Ming, you innocently killed your colleague. Are you trying to rebel or not? Sun Quan pointed at Su Ming and angrily rebuked. Taking advantage of the opportunity for Su Ming to kill Ling Chao, Zhang Zhao had already fled behind Sun Quan in embarrassment. At this moment, he also shouted, "Someone, take down this traitor for me." The soldiers accompanying the funeral had already stood in front of Sun Quan, Zhang Zhao, and others, with their weapons pointing directly at Su Ming. At this point, Su Ming was no longer moving forward. It seems that there are currently no plans to kill anyone again. Su Ming looked around and shouted loudly, "I am Su Ming, a sworn brother of Marquis Wu. There should be many people in Jiangdong who know me. More than a month ago, my elder brother Sun Su was assassinated while wandering in Dantu. But do you know that? My elder brother was not assassinated by Su Gong's disciples, but died at the hands of treacherous officials. This treacherous minister is none other than his son Quan, Sun Zhongmo, and the four major families of Gu, Lu, Zhu, and Zhang. When my elder brother was in power, he suppressed the four major families of Gu, Lu, Zhu, and Zhang, so they conspired with Sun Zhongmo to kill his brother and seize the throne. What Su Ming said is not half false. If there is half false, let Su Ming Tian strike 5 thunderbolts. After Su Ming finished speaking, Sun Quan, who had always had his own opinions, also panicked. Because at this time, on both sides of the funeral procession, there were people from Jiangdong who came to bid farewell. At this moment, there are already voices of unrest among the people. What? Marquis Wu was killed by his own people. Sun Zhong conspires to kill his brother and seize the throne. If that's true, the death of Marquis Wu is unjustified. The onlookers whispered and whispered to each other. These words reached Sun Quan's ears, as if one slap after another had hit Sun Quan's face. Upon hearing these words, Su Ming couldn't help but show a fierce smile on his face. Both Zhou Yu and Tai Shizi's moves have not been effective, and he can only do this today. Enough. It's already enough. In the hearts of the people, a seed of doubt has been planted. If this suspicious seed is planted, sooner or later it will take root and sprout. Next, let Sun Quan and the people of the 4 major families know what it means. Pifu's anger splattered blood in 5 steps. Sun Quan, watch your head. Su Ming shouted loudly and attacked Sun Quan. Zhang Zhao reminded Sun Quan in his ear, Lord, at this point, we can only eradicate the root cause. If he dies, what he said today is all false. If he lives, there will definitely be waves. Upon hearing this, Sun Quan also made up his mind and waved his hand, ordering, kill him. Under Sun Quan's command, all the soldiers around surrounded Su Ming. As the fight broke out, the people around immediately scattered and fled. In the blink of an eye, Su Ming had already been surrounded. At least Su Ming has a force value of 91, and he has stepped into the threshold of a first-class general in front of him. Dealing with these soldiers is not a problem. On the narrow street, Su Ming flipped his silver spear up and down like a dragon in the sea. With a sweep of his spear, the soldiers around him were swept away, like a broken kite. The soldiers in Wu County are all unorganized soldiers, and the county soldiers are not his opponents at all. Moreover, military power has always been solely held by Sun Tzu. Sun Quan and the 4 major families still cannot reach into the army, so he does not have any generals available in his hands. The only general who can fight is Ling Chao, who was just picked to death by Su Ming. That's also why Sun Quan wanted to win over Zhou Yu. Even if Sun Quan inherited the title of Marquis of Wu, he needed the help of Zhou Yu to take over military power. Su Ming already has the combat power of a first-class general, and now he is taking action with resentment. With his combat power exploding, no one is his all-in-point-1 enemy. Shoot the arrow and kill him. Sun Quan's face remained calm as he commanded these soldiers. As soon as the command was given, a shower of arrows shot towards Su Ming in an instant. He is Su Ming, but ultimately not Lu Bu. Soon, under the siege of sharp arrows and countless soldiers, Su Ming was seriously injured. The silver spear has been lost somewhere, and Huang Biaoma has also been stabbed to death. At this moment, he just kept waving a pair of golden maces with both hands, throwing the soldiers around him away. Due to excessive blood loss, Su Ming's head was a bit dizzy. He shook his head, and under his eyes, there was a crimson hue. At the back of the crowd were Sun Tzu's coffin and the family members of the Sun family who came to bid farewell. Around the coffin, a 16 or 17-year-old heroic girl dressed in mourning looked at the plump young woman next to her and asked, "Sister-in-law, is what brother Su Ming said true?" "Big brother, it's the second brother. This 16 or 17-year-old brave girl is exactly Sun Shangxiang. The charming young woman beside her is Qiao Ying, the widow of Sun Tzu. Of course, she also had a famous name in history, Big Qiao." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Good Sister-in-Law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Good Sister-in-Law. Your second brother won't harm your eldest brother, but your brother Su Ming doesn't deserve to die either. Big Qiao touched Sun Shangxiang's head, his tone soft and slightly choked. "Sister." On the side, Xiao Qiao looked at her with tears in her eyes and called out softly. De Qiao shook his head at Xiao Qiao, meaning that as long as we understand, don't tell Shangxiang. Although De Qiao is beautiful, she is not a vase. The events that happened today have already raised doubts in her heart. De Qiao understood in his heart that his man, as Su Ming had said, had been harmed by Sun Quan. But what if we know? Sun Tzu is already dead, and no one can suppress the 4 major families in Jiangdong anymore. Sun Quan has gained the support of the 4 major families, so his inheritance of the title of Marquis of Wu cannot be changed. At this point, Sun Tzu can only be assassinated by Su Gong's disciples. This is the only way to die, for Jiangdong, for the Wu family, for her and Sun Shao. However, Su Ming cannot die. People walk in the cool tea, and Su Ming is the only person in the entire Jiangdong who cares about the cause of Sun Tzu's death. The whole Jiangdong is sorry for Sun Su, but Su Ming is not. Even De Qiao himself did not have the courage to avenge her husband and overturn the case. Only Su Ming is willing to sacrifice his life for justice. De Qiao pondered, thinking of a way to save Su Ming. Now, surrounded by people from Sun Quan, it's not easy to save Su Ming. After thinking for a moment, De Qiao had a solution. She approached Sun Shangxiang and asked, "Shangxiang, are you willing to save your brother Su Ming?" Sun Shangxiang nodded without any reason, like a chicken pecking at rice, and replied, "Yes, of course I do. Big brother is already dead, I don't want Su Ming to be gone either." After receiving a positive response, De Qiao immediately leaned in Sun Shangxiang's ear and whispered a few words softly. After giving orders to Sun Shangxiang, De Qiao instructed his younger sister Xiao Qiao, "Sister, take someone and find 3 good horses to wait outside the city. By the way, remember to bring some high-quality Jin Chuang medicine and prepare some extra medicine. Are you causing trouble at my elder brother's funeral and bullying me? Is there no one in Jiangdong? Su Ming, don't be reckless." Sun Shangxiang somehow changed into green armor and wielded a green sunken spear to kill Su Ming. When 2 long guns collided, emitting a metallic collision sound at a distance. "Shang Xiang, please step aside." Su Ming was seriously injured and had now become a bloody person. Between the two of them hitting the wrong horse, Sun Shangxiang also said to Su Ming, "Brother Su, hold me hostage and leave. Let's go quickly." At this moment, Sun Shangxiang risked his life to save himself, which moved Su Ming deeply. "Since I'm here, I must seek justice for my elder brother today." Su Ming's voice was resounding and powerful. Sun Shangxiang is just a 17 or 18-year-old girl, she really doesn't know how to persuade Su Ming to leave. However, before she came, Big Qiao had already explained it. "Brother Su Ming, you're not seeking justice, you're risking your life. If you die, no one will care about how my big brother died anymore. To live, only to live can there be hope." The two of them clashed on horseback, but fortunately, the sound of weapons colliding could conceal their conversation. Su Ming knew that Sun Shangxiang would definitely not be able to say such words. "Did Sister Law ask you to come?" Su Ming asked. Sun Shangxiang nodded and said the last sentence that De Qiao asked him to bring to Su Ming. "Sister-in-law asked me to tell you that you are alive. If there are any issues between her and Shower, you can still serve as a foreign aid. If you die, she and Shower will have no more reliance." After hearing these words, Su Ming couldn't help but feel a little moved in his heart. De Qiao's concern is not unreasonable. Sun Quan is a cruel and ruthless kid who only seeks profit. If De Qiao and Sun Su pose a threat to his status, he will definitely eliminate the root cause and leave no future troubles. Seeing Su Ming hesitating, Sun Shangxiang took advantage of the moment when the 2 weapons collided and directly let go. Her spear was picked out by Su Ming and flew out. Later, Sun Shangxiang kicked off his horse and collapsed into Su Ming's arms, as light as a swallow. "Move aside, everyone move aside. Otherwise, I'll kill her." Sun Shangxiang had already taken the initiative to be captured, and Su Ming couldn't let down her kindness. Moreover, it is obvious that Sun Quan cannot be killed. Failing to achieve the goal and risking one's life for no reason is meaningless. Today, the seeds of doubt have been planted. Killing one's brother to seize the throne will always become a stain on Sun Quan. Whether true or false, it will become a powerful tool for others to criticize Sun Quan. The soldiers around also knew Sun Shangxiang, and when they saw Sun Shangxiang being captured, these soldiers dared not act recklessly and threw caution at him. For a moment, both sides were deadlocked. Sun Shangxiang is in Su Ming's hands, and these soldiers are afraid of hurting Sun Shangxiang and dare not besiege Su Ming again. However, without Sun Quan's order, they dare not let Su Ming leave. "Marquis of Wu, be resolute and never stop, and you will inevitably suffer from his chaos. If we let this kid go, there will be endless troubles ahead. Zhang Zhao muttered in Sun Quan's ear. In fact, without Zhang Zhao's reminder, Sun Quan had no intention of letting Su Ming go. Among the wealthy families, sibling relationships are not just bullshit. Even if Sun Quan had some consideration for sibling relationships, in history, he would not have married Sun Shangxiang to Liu Bei, who was even older than his father. Sun Quan knew that he couldn't let Su Ming go. If Su Ming were to leave, from now on, he would have to sleep with one eye open. Even if Sun Shangxiang was captured, Sun Quan hardly hesitated. He raised his hand and ordered, "Let go." Sun Quan's original intention was to directly order his subordinates to shoot arrows and kill Su Ming and Sun Shangxiang together. Then, just as Sun Quan uttered an arrow, before the arrow could be released, a large-eared photon was drawn over. Smash! Before the command could be given, De Qiao slapped a big-eared photon on Sun Quan's face, almost hysterically shouting, "Sun Zhongmo, are you going to harm each other with your hands and feet?" De Qiao's statement of sibling violence contains two meanings. On the surface, it means that Sun Quan disregards the safety of Sun Shangxiang and insists on killing Su Ming. In fact, it is implying that Sun Quan joined forces with the four major families to kill his brothers and seize the throne. After drawing a big-ear photon from Sun Quan, De Qiao stood in front of Sun Shangxiang and Su Ming and shouted, "If you want to shoot an arrow, just shoot me to death." At this moment, if De Qiao inserts a lever horizontally, Sun Quan will find it a bit difficult to do. Sun Quan could make the decision to shoot his own sister Sun Shangxiang, but he could not make the decision to shoot Big Qiao. It's not that I can't, but I dare not. Today is the day of Sun Tzu's funeral. On the day of Sun Tzu's funeral, he shot and killed Sun Tzu's widow. As long as he dares to do so, he will settle the matter of killing his brother and taking the throne. Moreover, there is an additional charge of killing sister.in.law. At that time, none of the old courtiers in Jiangdong will convince him. Even the entire Jiangdong region will fall apart. Shooting Big Zhou in front of everyone's eyes. Even if Sun Zhongmo had eaten the courage of an ambitious leopard, he dared not do so. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Good Sister. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Good Sister, let them go. Sun Quan almost squeezed out these words from between his teeth, and from his gloomy eyes, it could be seen that he held a grudge against Big Qiao. However, at least at this critical moment, he dared not touch Sun Tzu's widow. On the contrary, he also needs to take good care of De Qiao and Sun Shao. After Su Ming's commotion today, the hat of killing his brother and taking the throne can be said to have been put on his head. Once something unexpected happens to De Qiao and Sun Shao at this time, Sun Quan will fall into his pants with yellow mud, either in feces or in feces. Sun Shangxiang was captured, and these soldiers dared not act recklessly. After hearing Sun Quan's order, they immediately gave way. Su Ming was seriously injured and covered in blood. At this moment, it is already the end of a strong crossbow. Drive. With a strong effort, Su Ming slapped his horse's buttocks with a golden mace and fled towards the outside of the city, holding Sun Shangxiang hostage. Su Ming's Huangdiaoma has been shot to death, but the silver spear has been retrieved from the battlefield. The military horse that was snatched did not run fast carrying two people. After Su Ming and Sun Shangxiang walked away, Sun Quan looked at De Qiao with serious eyes and asked, "Sister-in-law, can the funeral continue?" "Big brother, it's better to settle down as soon as possible. De Qiao has already done everything he can, and now it's up to Su Ming himself. Keep going." Big Qiao's tone choked up. Sun Quan ordered his soldiers to remove the fallen body and the funeral continued. Today, no matter what, Sun Tzu must be buried. Only when Sun Tzu is buried can Sun Quan feel at ease. The funeral continued, with Sun Quan holding the coffin and Zhang Zhao following closely behind like the same lackey. "Send someone to pursue him." He was injured and the two of them rode on the same military horse together, they couldn't run fast. Sun Quan supported the coffin and walked forward, giving orders to Zhang Zhao. Zhang Zhao was taken aback for a moment and immediately said, "Lord, I see that Miss Shangxiang was intentionally captured. If Miss Shangxiang obstructs her, then..." At this point, Zhang Zhao stopped talking and waited for Sun Quan's response. "No matter who it is, if you dare to stop it, there will be no forgiveness for killing." Sun Quan's voice was filled with endless killing intent. Sun Quan must kill Su Ming, he doesn't want to sleep with one eye open in the future. "Understood, I'll arrange it now." Zhang Zhao responded. Zhang Zhao's recognition of Sun Quan as the protagonist is quite high, and the most recognized aspect of Sun Quan by Zhang Zhao is that his heart is ruthless enough. In doing things, he only pursues results, and in order to achieve his goals, he can resort to any means. That is also why the four major families in Jiangdong would support Sun Quan. Outside Wu County. Xiao Qiao is waiting outside the city with several servants from the Qiao family and 3 good horses. From a distance, a horse soaked in blood rushed out of the city, dragging 2 people. However, it was no longer Su Ming holding Sun Shangxiang hostage, but Sun Shangxiang was riding a horse and Su Ming fainted in her arms. Su Ming was hit by several arrows and lost too much blood. Before he could escape from Wu County, he was already unconscious. So now Sun Shangxiang and Su Ming have fled outside the city. After all, Sun Shangxiang was still young, and she had already panicked when she saw Su Ming unconscious. After seeing Xiao Qiao, she seemed to have seen the backbone. Xiao Qiao's sister. Law, save him quickly. Help him, help him. Sun Shangxiang shouted with a crying voice. Seeing Su Ming covered in injuries, his blood stained him into a bloody person. Xiao Qiao quickly ordered, "Quick, save someone. Xiao Qiao is waiting here, first to send horses, and second to save people." The doctor quickly stepped forward and helped Su Ming with a simple treatment of the wound, applying gold wound medicine. "It's broken. He's unconscious and can't wake up for the time being. Your second brother won't let him go, I'm afraid he'll soon send someone to catch up and eradicate the root cause," Xiao Qiao said anxiously. She brought a doctor and also a fast horse. "However, I didn't expect that Su Ming was so badly injured that he had already passed out. Su Ming is unconscious and unable to ride a horse. He must not be able to escape. We'll take brother Su Ming back to the city and hide him," Sun Shangxiang asked tentatively. Xiao Qiao shook his head and rejected the proposal, saying, "Now that your second brother's people are all on the city gate, they dare not stop us from coming out. But if you bring such a big living person in, you won't be able to hide it from their eyes. They will definitely report to your second brother, and then they will fall into the trap." Sun Shangxiang's idea is too naive. He finally managed to escape from Wu County and then turned back. Isn't that seeking death? For Sun Shangxiang's idea, Xiao Qiao just wanted to say, "Shangxiang, don't give it away." Sun Shangxiang gritted his teeth and seemed to have made up his mind. "I'll take him away, let's go together." Upon hearing this, Xiao Qiao was only stunned for a moment before nodding and agreeing, "Okay, then you should leave now." After speaking, Xiao Qiao asked someone to hand over the prepared BMW to Sun Shangxiang and said, 3 BMWs, go day and night, and escape from Jiangdong as soon as possible. Find a secluded place, these gold and silver will be enough for your livelihood for the rest of your life. Don't go back to Jiangdong again. The days of wealthy families may not necessarily be as happy as those of ordinary families. In Xiao Qiao's opinion, it would be better for Sun Shangxiang to leave Jiangdong, this land of right and wrong. Sun Quan is different from his brother Sun Su. Sun Su values emotions, while Sun Quan is a petty person who does everything to achieve his goals. If Sun Shangxiang continues to stay in Jiangdong, there may not be any good outcome. Women from wealthy families will eventually become a bargaining chip for exchanging benefits. Without exception. Xiao Qiao's sister.in.law, take care of yourself and your sister.in.law. After saying these words, Sun Shangxiang and Su Ming rushed forward. Sun Shangxiang and Su Ming had just finished a cup of tea when they saw a dark shadow rushing out of the city gate. Zhang Zhao personally led someone to chase after him, and seeing this scene, Xiao Qiao couldn't help but worry. Sun Shangxiang, accompanied by unconscious Su Ming, was definitely not as fast as Zhang Zhao and the others. Xiao Qiao and her sister De Qiao are the same, although they are beautiful, they are definitely not a vase. Watching the footprints of Sun Shangxiang and the others leaving, Xiao Qiao immediately noticed. I saw Xiao Qiao pull the sword from the waist of the servant next to him, and then stab the horse's buttocks with a sword. Zilv Law. The horse suffered from pain and ran forward like a madman, quickly disappearing at the end of the road. Hurry up, startle these horses, Xiao Qiao instructed the servant. These servants may not understand what this means, but they still know how to imitate cat and tiger. So, they drew out their swords from their waists and stabbed the horse's buttocks. The horse suffered from pain and fled in all directions. After finishing all of this, Xiao Qiao didn't leave and waited here for Zhang Zhao and the others to arrive. Xiao Qiao predicted that whether it was Sun Quan or Zhang Zhao, they dare not touch her. Sun Quan's desire to quickly grasp military power cannot be achieved without the assistance of Zhou Yu. Xiao Qiao is Zhou Yu's wife, and as long as Sun Su still wants to win over Zhou Yu, it is impossible to move Xiao Qiao. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Task Rewards, Yuwen Chengdu Martial Soul. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Task Rewards, Yuwen Chengdu Martial Soul. Zhang Zhao arrived with people and saw the footprints of horse hooves all over the ground, making his face instantly black. Xiao Qiao deliberately startled the horses and ran in all directions. Now there were hoof marks in every direction, and Zhang Zhao couldn't even tell which direction Su Ming was running in. Qiao Wan, you. Zhang Zhao said halfway before stopping. Even discerning people can tell that Qiao Wan must have let Su Ming go. Previously, in front of Sun Su's coffin, it was De Qiao who stood up to protect Su Ming, but now Xiao Qiao has let her go. What the sisters mean is obvious. However, Zhang Zhao cannot fall out with them yet. Now, let alone Zhang Zhao, even Sun Quan dare not fall out with them. De Qiao is the widow of Sun Su, and Xiao Qiao is the wife of Zhou Yu. If Sun Quan wants to gain military power, he cannot avoid Zhou Yu. At this point, falling out with them will only have a negative impact on Sun Quan's inheritance of the position of Marquis of Wu. Xiao Qiao is very intelligent, and can even be said to be fearless. In the short term, Sun Quan dare not do anything to them. Mr. Zhang, I'll take these servants out of the city for a stroll. You people are so arrogant that you startled my horse. It's not excessive to borrow a few of your horses to return to the city, is it? Xiao Qiao said to Zhang Zhao. After hearing Xiao Qiao's words, Zhang Zhao's already dark face turned even darker. Xiao Qiao has ruined his good deed, yet he still wants to pick up his horse. However, Zhang Zhao couldn't help but borrow it. Give them a few horses, Zhang Zhao coldly ordered, and then rode them back to the city. Killing a little Zhou halfway ruined his good deed. Now there are hoof prints everywhere, who knows where to chase? Are you still chasing after me? Now he needs to hurry back and report to Sun Quan. At the beginning of the year, Cao Cao had just captured Shuzhou. The three brothers of Liu Bei were also beaten apart, and Liu Bei fled to Yi City to seek refuge with Yuan Shao. After capturing Shuzhou, Cao Cao was once again busy preparing to attack Yuan Shao. In history, the famous Battle of Guandu will erupt in the second half of this year. At this moment, Shuzhou is in chaos. On that day, Sun Shangxiang ran with Su Ming all the way, running continuously for several days until they reached Shuzhou city. However, Shuzhou was Cao Cao's territory, so Sun Shangxiang did not dare to enter the city. I found an inn outside the city and settled Su Ming here. Every day, he carried the shopkeeper to the city to ask a doctor to help Su Ming treat his injuries. When Su Ming woke up, he found himself lying in a strange place. Just as Su Ming woke up, a familiar system prompt sounded in his ear. Congratulations, you have completed the task, investigated the cause of Sun Su's death, and made it public to the public. Task reward. Yuwen Chengdu martial soul, who lay leopard. Subsequently, Su Ming felt a warm current pouring into his body, and many martial arts moves came to his mind. Yuwen Chengdu martial soul. Is it just giving oneself the ability of Yuwen Chengdu? You should know that Yuwen Chengdu is the second hero in the Sui and Tang romance, with combat effectiveness second only to the non-humanly Yuwenba. If I really have the combat power of Yuwen Chengdu, I'm afraid during the entire Three Kingdoms period, except for LV Bu, all of them were the top performers in advertising. Even Guan Eri, who always says others are the top sellers, is also the top seller in his own eyes. Thinking of this, Su Ming quickly opened his attribute panel. Name: Su Ming. Age: 23 years old. Force value: 99, Commander-in-Chief. 87, Wisdom. 80, Politics. 73, Martial Soul. Yuwen Chengdu, fusion degree of 80%. Main weapon: Silver Spear. Sub-weapon: Golden Mace. Mount: Thunder Leopard. Brother Su, are you awake? When Sun Shangxiang walked in with the doctor, she was very happy to see that Su Ming had already woken up. Due to the presence of a doctor, there was not much discussion about their identities. The doctor came forward to diagnose and treat Su Ming. While helping him change his medicine, he said, the injury is so severe that he can still wake up so quickly. His body is indeed strong enough. However, this injury also requires rest and recuperation, at least for 3 months. Shopkeeper. Recently, are there any suspicious people waiting to check in at the inn? A general who was 8 feet tall, had a large arm and a very rough appearance, led a group of soldiers to break into the inn. The person in front of me in Shuzhou is unknown to everyone. This is Cao Cao's trusted general, Su Chu. Cao Cao's reputation in Shuzhou was not very good. When he saw Su Chu leading troops, the innkeeper trembled with fear. No, didn't you? The shopkeeper's lips were fighting as he spoke. Bang! Su Chu slammed the table and glared, scolding, think carefully, think carefully. The general I'm going to arrest is the key criminal who assassinated the Prime Minister. If we let him go, your whole family won't have enough heads to chop. Yesterday, while inspecting the city of Shuzhou, Cao Cao was attacked and killed by an assassin. However, fortunately, there was always Su Chu's protection by Cao Cao's side, and the assassin did not succeed. The assassin's skills are not bad. Although the assassination was not successful, he managed to escape. So, Su Chu was only able to capture assassins in Shuzhou city. Su Chu's fierce gaze almost scared the innkeeper to pee. The innkeeper stuttered and said, General, what kind of person is suspicious? Su Chu pondered for a moment and replied, those who are injured have knife and arrow wounds on their bodies. After hearing these words, the innkeeper's thoughts immediately came to him. Upstairs, there are 2 people, 1 male and 1 female. The man was injured, with knife and arrow injuries, but I found the doctor for them. The shopkeeper quickly pointed to Su Ming and Sun Shangxiang's room and said. In fact, the innkeeper also knew that Su Ming was probably not an assassin. However, he dare not conceal it. Because even if he doesn't mention that someone upstairs has been injured by a knife or arrow, Su Chu and his team are likely to search. He took the initiative to say that it was different to live in an inn with someone who was found to have been injured by a knife or arrow by Su Chu. If it is found out, it will be yellow mud falling into the crotch of the pants, not just feces but also feces. General, those two people are probably not the assassins you're looking for. The Prime Minister was assassinated yesterday, and that person had already been staying at the inn 3 days ago, the shopkeeper explained in front of Su Chu. Why, Su Chu is a reckless man. He doesn't care about you. Let's catch it first before we talk. If we go back for a trial, we'll all know who it is. After speaking, Su Chu glared at the innkeeper and scolded, "No more nonsense, I'll catch you as an accomplice." Su Chu's words immediately frightened the innkeeper, who dared not even breathe. Seeing Su Chu's foolishness, if he were talking, Su Chu would have to charge him with harboring an assassin. Immediately after, Su Chu waved his hand and the soldiers he brought surrounded him upstairs. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. War Tiger Crazy Su Chu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 War Tiger Crazy Su Chu. Here, the doctor just helped Su Ming change his medication. I heard a sound of soldiers shaking their armor outside, and then the door was kicked open. Then, a group of Cao soldiers rushed in. Without even thinking, Su Ming grabbed the golden sword placed by the bed with his back hand. Sun Shangxiang didn't hesitate and pulled out his sword with a flash. The reason why Su Ming and Sun Shangxiang have such a big reaction is entirely due to their own admiration in their hearts. Especially Sun Shangxiang, her identity is very sensitive. If it falls into the hands of the Cao thief, it is not a good thing. Do you still want to resist? Someone, take them down for me. Su Chu gave an order and commanded his soldiers to rush forward. What level of players are these ordinary soldiers? Not to mention they are fighting against Su Ming, they are not even opponents of Sun Shangxiang. Although Sun Shangxiang is a little girl, she is a heroine among women. Sun Shangxiang held a sword in his hand, and under the cold light, he flew out several soldiers with 3 strikes and 5 strikes. These soldiers fell to the ground and screamed in agony, "Ouch, ouch." Seeing this scene, Su Chu's face immediately turned black. It's really embarrassing that these soldiers under his command were beaten up like this by a woman. Waste, you are waste. What can't we do, what can't we eat? With so many people, we can't even take down a woman. Su Chu cursed. Faced with Su Chu's words, these soldiers under his command were indeed powerless to refute. It's true that I haven't fought before, and besides, there are so many people who haven't fought a single little girl. Indeed, it is shameful enough. Big guy, don't look down on women. Although you are big, you may not be my opponent, Sun Shangxiang said angrily. Fart. If I, Su Chu, can't take down you as a little girl today, I'll wipe my own neck, Su Chu said contemptuously. As the bodyguard of Boss Cao, Su Chu's military strength is extremely high. When it comes to fighting alone, there are not many people who can defeat him nowadays. As the words fell, Su Chu slowly walked forward and pointed a large iron sword at Sun Shangxiang. Young ladies, can you take action first? Su Chu invited John. Sun Shangxiang's eyes flickered as he sheathed his sword and took out the green sunken spear with his backhand, using it to confront the enemy. After knowing that the person in front of him was Su Chu, Sun Shangxiang also understood that he had to demonstrate 12% of his strength to be his opponent. Sun Shangxiang's green spear in his hand was like a highly poisonous bamboo leaf, piercing towards Su Chu's chest. Don't be fooled by Su Chu's thick and muscular appearance, but he is a flexible and chubby person. Saying it was late, it was fast. Just as Sun Shangxiang's spear tip was about to pierce into his chest, Su Chu's iron sword swung horizontally towards his chest and then thrust fiercely. Kick off. Push, push. Sun Shangxiang's strength was not as strong as Su Chu's. He took several consecutive steps back before finally stopping his decline. Su Chu was also unreasonable. Just as Sun Shangxiang retreated a few steps, his iron sword immediately pressed against him. Dang! A loud metallic impact sounded, and Su Ming's mace hit Su Chu's large iron sword. The intense anti-seismic force came, causing Su Chu to be somewhat shocked. Sure. Hurt like this, with such great strength. Su Chu suddenly became interested in Su Ming. Su Chu was overjoyed at the sight of the hunt and had a desire to compete with Su Ming. Kid, have a fight with me. If you win, I'll let you go. Su Chu shouted at Su Ming. Su Ming and Sun Shangxiang have a unique identity and are superior to Su Chu. It is the best choice for them to retire completely. Although Su Ming's injuries are not minor now, after possessing the Yuwen Chengdu martial soul. Even with a severely injured body, he should be able to surpass Su Chu. Okay. It's a deal, Su Chu responded. After the words fell, the two began to fight. After the last move, Su Chu knew that Su Ming's strength was not bad, so he took the lead. Su Chu's swordsmanship is a type of powerful and heavy swordsmanship that emphasizes breaking through 10,000 techniques with one force. However, this kind of battle seems to be blind if one encounters someone with greater strength than him. When? Dang, dang. The mace and knife kept colliding, and the loud impact quickly formed a shockwave, knocking everything in the room to the ground. Immortals fight, mortals suffer. At this moment, the soldiers brought by Su Chu have retreated outside the door to watch the battle. After all, if these two masters were to face each other, they wouldn't be able to withstand it if they bumped or rubbed against each other. It has to be said that this Yuwen Chengdu martial soul is indeed quite powerful. Even though Su Ming was seriously injured, he still fought on par with Su Chu, even vaguely gaining the upper hand. If Su Ming is not injured, it is probably only LV Bu who is his opponent. However, it is unknown whether he is powerful or LV Bu is. Lu Bu was already killed by Cao Cao at the White Gate Tower last year, so there will definitely be no chance to fight Lu Bu in this lifetime. Who is this person? That's amazing. The injury is so severe that I have fought General Su back and forth. If it weren't for being injured, General Su might have already been defeated, right? After the soldier finished speaking, several colleagues around him immediately distanced themselves from him and thought to themselves, if you don't know how to speak, just shut up. Who the hell are you from? General Su can hear this, do you want to get lost? After battling Su Chu for so long, Su Ming finally figured out Su Chu's moves and routines. Although Su Chu had exceptional talent, his innate divine power was not lacking. However, his moves are sparse and ordinary. To a large extent, they all rely on strength and instinct to fight. In fact, it's not just Su Chu, but looking at the entire Three Kingdoms generals, many of them rely on God to reward them with food. For example, Guan Iri, Zhang Sanyi, and Su Chu. In history, there has never been a record of what famous teachers they studied martial arts under. Their martial arts skills were mostly obtained through their own exploration and combat due to their unique talents. Just like Zhao Yun's martial arts history records that he was a disciple of the gun god Tong Yuan. For example, Ma Chao's martial arts skills are inherited from his ancestors, who were General Fubo Ma Yuan. After such a long battle, Su Ming has already seen through Su Chu's martial arts skills. It's time to end the battle. During the battle, Su Ming found a loophole in Su Chu and struck his left hand with a mace towards his chest. As expected, Su Chu's idea was very simple. When he saw this punch coming, he instinctively used a knife to block his chest. At the same time, Su Ming's right hand mace hit Su Chu's forehead. However, the golden mace landed about 3 inches on Su Chu's forehead and did not fall. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Entering Cao Camp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Entering Cao Camp. Looking at the golden mace hanging 3 inches above my forehead without falling. Su Chu's forehead was covered in sweat droplets the size of soybeans, which were both frightening and shocking. Scared, because he was just one step away from the gates of hell. As long as Su Ming exerted a slight force, his brain would burst. Surprised, it was because Su Chu never expected that a severely injured person, covered in bandages like a mummy, could easily defeat him. Such force, perhaps only LV Bu and LV Fengxian are his opponents, right? You, Su Chu said in a slightly bitter voice, you won. Although unwilling to admit his failure, Su Chu was convinced of his defeat. Is Su Chu convinced that he lost? Su Ming doesn't care, what he cares about is whether Su Chu can keep his promise and let them go. Su Ming is now seriously injured. If Su Chu does not keep his promise, let's rise up in groups and attack him. Su Ming, there is really no chance of breaking through the encirclement. Can we go now? Su Ming asked Su Chu. Su Chu has always kept his promises and will definitely fulfill what he has promised. After saying these words, Su Chu immediately waved his hand to signal his soldiers to move away. Vice General Su seems to be trying to persuade. Let them go. Su Chu sternly rebuked. These soldiers were afraid of Su Chu and had to make way for him. Willing to gamble and accept defeat, since Su Chu has lost, whether these two people are assassins who assassinated the Prime Minister or not, Su Chu will keep his promise. If the Prime Minister blames, it's not a big deal to get caught up in this head. Take something. Let's go. Su Ming greeted Sun Shangxiang while Su Chu had not yet turned back. Fortunately, the two of them didn't have much, just some money given by Xiao Qiao. Sun Shangxiang held something and followed closely behind Su Ming, walking out one in front of the other. Although Su Ming won the battle with Su Chu just now. However, the wound he had just healed burst open again. At this moment, blood was almost soaking the gauze, and under the intense pain, Su Ming almost fainted. Su Ming was afraid that Su Chu would see that he was strong on the outside but weak on the inside, so he changed his mind. So, he has been persevering. However, as soon as he arrived at the door, Su Ming's eyes turned black and his legs softened. With a thud, he fell to the ground. Brother Su, Sun Shangxiang shouted while holding Su Ming, tears streaming down her face. After seeing Su Ming faint, Su Chu quickly took a few steps forward to examine his injuries. His injury is too severe, ordinary doctors can only stop the bleeding and cannot cure it at all. The best doctors in Shuzhou are all at the Prime Minister's mansion. If you trust me, Su Chu, let me take him to the Prime Minister's mansion for treatment. Su Chu suggested to Sun Shangxiang. As the saying goes, heroes cherish heroes. The reason why he wants to seek a doctor to help Su Ming treat his injuries is partly because he truly admires Su Ming's martial arts skills, and partly because he wants to introduce Su Ming to the Prime Minister. Su Chu thought to himself, if the Prime Minister gets this fierce general comparable to LV Fengxian, why don't he worry about winning the world? Upon hearing that there was the best doctor in the Prime Minister's mansion, Sun Shangxiang's face showed a hint of hope. However, she hesitated a little when she thought of going to the Prime Minister's mansion. The identities of Sun Shangxiang and Su Ming, when they go to the Prime Minister's mansion, aren't they sheep in a wolf's den? Su Chu hesitated when he saw Sun Shangxiang and quickly said, Miss, don't worry, my Prime Minister will never harm you. Although you assassinated my Prime Minister, wasn't it a failure? That Zhang Xiu killed the Dian Wei brothers, my eldest son, and General Cao Anmin, but my Prime Minister still valued him. The Prime Minister is by no means a person with a small belly and chicken intestines. After hearing Su Chu's words, Sun Shangxiang immediately became furious. It was all because of Su Chu, a foolish person, who treated them like assassins and forced Su Ming to fight him, which only made Su Ming more injured. You idiot, we're not assassins. You see, Brother Su's injuries are all old wounds, and now the wounds have cracked, making it even more difficult to treat. Sun Shangxiang said, uncovering a wound on Su Ming's body to show him. After seeing Su Ming's wound, Su Chu immediately felt a sense of guilt in his heart. Because all the injuries on Su Ming's body are indeed old wounds. The wounds were originally scabbed, but now they have all burst open. Cao Cao was the assassin he met yesterday, and Su Ming's injuries clearly do not match the assassin's. Su Chu knew that he had made a mistake. If it's not an assassin, that would be even better. Come with me to the Prime Minister's mansion, I'll find a doctor to save him, Su Chu quickly said. For the sake of Su Ming's injury, Sun Shangxiang decided to take a risk and go to the Prime Minister's mansion once. Their identities are indeed special and genuine, but as long as they are not recognized, it doesn't matter. After thinking about this, Sun Shangxiang agreed. Su Chu quickly asked his subordinates to find a carriage, and Su Chu personally drove the carriage to take Su Ming back to the Prime Minister's mansion. There is a specialized medical clinic in the Prime Minister's mansion, and the doctors here are all for Cao Cao and his subordinates to treat illnesses and injuries. It can be said that the best doctors in the entire city of Shuzhou are all here. After bringing Su Ming into the clinic, Su Chu immediately shouted, "Immediately have the best doctor come to treat my brother's injuries. If a person cannot be saved, I will take your dog's life." Su Chu was Cao Cao's trusted general, and these doctors dared not offend him. They quickly began to treat Su Ming's injuries. Su Ming is covered in injuries all over, and it takes a lot of time to treat these wounds. Su Chu instructed his two confidants to wait here and inform him as soon as they had any news. He himself quickly went to see Cao Cao and recounted Su Ming's story to him one by one. "Study. Do you say that? The person you met is actually not as powerful as LV Fengxian." Cao Cao was also slightly surprised after listening to Su Chu's account. Cao Cao is not tall, has dark skin, and is not good-looking. However, he has a natural and extraordinary temperament, which makes people feel like he has a royal aura when they look at him. Su Chu immediately patted his chest and promised, "Prime Minister, Su Chu, have never told lies. That kid is definitely not under LV Fengxian. He was injured like that and almost broke my head with a single blow." Looking at Su Chu's resolute expression, Cao Cao looked at the thin and weak scholar in white beside him and asked, "Filial piety, what do you think?" Guojia smiled and said, "A severely injured body can beat General Su. Even if it's not as good as LV Fengxian, it's not much different. I'm afraid it's even stronger than the wild horse that's difficult to tame in the Prime Minister's backyard." Who is the wild horse in the backyard that Guojia said is difficult to tame? It's Guan Yu, Guan Yunchang. After Cao Cao captured Shuzhou, Zhang Liao made a 3-chapter agreement with Guan Yu Tushan, which led to Guan Yu surrendering to Cao Cao. Since Guan Yu surrendered, Cao Cao has been really good to him. However, Guan Yu was completely focused on his own elder brother and did not accept Cao Cao's favor at all. P.S. I was hit. I have a high fever of 39 degrees for 3 consecutive days, and I can only barely update it. It's a bit better now, and I will resume 2 updates every day. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Cao Cao's illegitimate child. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Cao Cao's illegitimate child. Cao Cao could tolerate Guan Yu passing through 5 levels and beheading 6 generals, and could not shoot Zhao Yun on the Changban slope. This ultimately boils down to one thing, which is Cao Cao's love for talent. However, what he loves is always talent, not a specific person. When Guojia said that the person brought by Su Chu might be even stronger than Guan Yu, Cao Cao couldn't help but feel excited. Cao Cao thought to himself, "It's really my luck as Chaomengda. In recent days, I have been winning the title of General one after another. Let's go." Cao Cao excitedly patted his thigh and said, "Go and see this person." After greeting, Cao Cao led Guojia and Su Chu to the medical clinic. A medical clinic. Prime Minister. I have met the Prime Minister. Seeing Cao Cao personally coming, these doctors quickly bowed. Cao Cao waved his hand and gestured, "No need to be polite. How is the person doing?" At this moment, Su Ming's wounds had been cleaned up and he was lying naked on the bed. Gunshot, knife, arrow injuries. After careful counting, there were at least dozens of wounds on this body. There are more than 10 fatal penetrating injuries alone. Prime Minister, with such injuries, you can still defeat General Su Chu. I'm afraid you really have the courage of LV Fengxian. Guo Jia whispered in Cao Cao's ear. However, Cao Cao seemed not to be listening to Guo Jia's words, but instead looked at Su Ming's buttocks with bright eyes. After Guo Jia finished speaking, he saw that Cao Cao was absent-minded. So, following Cao Cao's gaze, he found that Cao Cao was actually looking at Su Ming's buttocks. In my heart, I suddenly felt surprised. Isn't the Prime Minister fond of other people's wives? When did you like handsome guys? At this moment, Cao Cao seemed to have regained his senses and asked Guo Jia, Fengxiao, do you see any difference between his buttocks and ordinary people? Guo Jia. What? What? Upon hearing Cao Cao's question, Guo Jia was in a daze. Guo Jia thought to herself, aren't these buttocks all similar? What difference can there be? It's just whose butt is wider and whose butt is darker, or whose butt is rougher and whose butt is softer. However, this question was ultimately asked by Cao Cao, and Guo Jia also had to answer it carefully. So, Guo Jia also stared at Su Ming's buttocks with bright eyes. It doesn't matter if you don't look, you can immediately understand what Cao Cao said. On Su Ming's left buttock egg, there are 7 moles growing, and the order of these 7 moles is very special, like the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper? Guo Jia tentatively asked. Cao Cao nodded, his eyes still fixed on Su Ming, and said solemnly, he is my son. Guo Jia. What? What? Guo Jia thought to herself, Prime Minister, your thinking is really jumping. We were just talking about our butt, but now we're talking about our son again. In the blink of an eye, Guo Jia couldn't help but give Cao Cao a thumbs up in his heart. Guo Jia thought to herself, it seems that the Prime Minister wants to take this person as his adopted son. This is a fierce general not inferior to LV Fengxian. If the Prime Minister accepts him as his adopted son, it will definitely benefit him greatly. Prime Minister, want to take him as his adopted son? Guo Jia probed Cao Cao's purpose. However, Cao Cao shook his head and said with utmost seriousness, no, what I mean is that he is my own son. If everything goes well, he should be surnamed Su and come from Jiangdong. After hearing these words, Guo Jia gave a glance to Su Chu, meaning to ask him to go and ask. Su Chu approached Sun Shangxiang and murmured a few words in a low voice. After a moment, Su Chu returned to report, that's right, it's surnamed Su, from Jiangdong. At this moment, a raging fire of gossip ignited in Guo Jia's eyes. When I was young, I was ordered by Emperor Ling to sell my official position in Jiangdong. Initially, I used to rely on a local friend's residence. My friend, who has been doing business outside all year round, is always received by my good sister. Law. 1 come, 2 go. Speaking of this, Cao Cao didn't say anything further, and there was no need to say anything more. Cao Cao's virtues are known to all his subordinates. Originally, Cao Cao said that Su Ming was his illegitimate son, but Guo Jia still hesitated. However, when elements such as a wife and sister. Law were included in this story, its credibility was elevated to the extreme. Anyway. Save him. Cao Cao issued a death order to the doctors. Prime Minister's office. Study. Su Chu, how did he get hurt like this? Cao Cao asked Su Chu. Without hesitation, Su Chu replied directly, I asked. The little girl said she encountered a water bandit. As soon as Su Chu finished speaking, Cao Cao slapped him on the head with a big pussy and cursed, are you a pig? She said she met a water bandit, so you believed you did. What kind of water bandit could harm him like this? Su Chu thought to himself, it's the same thing. Su Ming is so powerful that even when he is seriously injured and dying, he is not a match for him. If he were in a period of complete victory, he would be an enemy of 10,000 people. Even the most powerful water bandit could not have injured him like this. That little girl actually lied to me, I won't tell you, Su Chu muttered. Seeing Su Chu's embarrassed expression on his face, Guojia took the initiative to help him out, saying, I don't see that you're encountering bandits, are you the navy of Jiangdong? Just now, I carefully examined the injuries on his body. The arrow injuries looked like they were bows and arrows used by the Jiangdong Navy. Cao Cao knew that Su Chu, a reckless man, was unreliable, so he ordered Guojia, filial piety, go investigate who injured my son like this. If my son has any major problems, I, Cao Mengde, will raise troops to destroy Jiangdong. Cao Cao loves fierce generals the most, when they are also his illegitimate son. Then Cao Cao loves it even more. Especially, as soon as Cao Cao thought that Su Ming could defeat Su Chu even under serious injuries, he wanted to shout up to the sky, when you have a son, you must have a son, my son Su Ming. In a moment of thought, Cao Cao thought again, what kind of way to call Su Ming? After my son wakes up, he must recognize his ancestors and change his surname from Su to Cao. In the future, my son will be called Cao Ming. Of course, all of this is just Cao Cao's wishful thinking. Recognizing our ancestors and returning to our roots. Su Ming also needs to be willing to do it. In the original owner's memory, his mother's experience back then was quite tragic. That father ate and wiped away, causing his mother to be kicked out of the house because he had an unclean reputation, and his mother's family was unwilling to accept it. Finally, his mother took him to live in a dilapidated temple outside the city. I survived thanks to my mother washing clothes day and night, and the alms from the temple. In the original owner's memory, there was a strong hatred towards that cheap old man. Although Su Ming is now a traveler, he has also inherited all the memories of the original owner. He still has a strong resonance with everything in the original owner's memory. So, Cao Cao wanted to find a son with the courage of LV Fengxian for free, but it was not so easy. End of this chapter.